literally a small country surrounded by enemies that could be overrun in a few hours.
So what are some of the contrasts between Iran and Israel's nuclear programs? Iran says its program is solely for peaceful purposes and denies trying to create a bomb. Israel will neither confirm nor deny whether it has nuclear weapons. Iran allows inspections by the International Atomic Energy Agency, but has denied the IAEA access to its Parchin military site, where the agency believes Iran is developing nuclear triggers. Israel has never allowed the IAEA to inspect its nuclear facility in the Negev desert. That facility near a town called Dimona came under suspicion more than 25 years ago when a nuclear technician there leaked photos and inside information to the Sunday Times. That information prompted analysts back then to estimate Israel had already amassed 200 nuclear warheads. Iran has signed the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty, but has been censured for failing to curb its uranium enrichment. Israel, for its part, has refused to sign the treaty. Israel's leaders say one of the most glaring differences between Israel and Iran on the nuclear issue is the language their leaders use.
We don't call for anyone's annihilation. We don't foster terrorism. We don't threaten to obliterate countries with nuclear weapons, but we are threatened with all these threats.
Iran has never threatened nuclear annihilation. In an interview with CNN's Piers Morgan, Iranian President Mahmoud Ahmadinejad gave a measured answer when asked about the threat of a strike by Israel.
The response of Iran is quite clear. I don't even need to explain that. Any question and any nation has the right and will indeed defend herself.
But this month, the general who heads Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guards Corps took it a step further. He said if Israel attacks Iran, quote, there will be nothing left of Israel. The war of words is creating fear of a regional conflict. In Israel, people are getting their gas masks and learning how to use them, preparing for the worst. Sarah Seidner, CNN, Tel Aviv.
Most of the world's leaders were gathered at the United Nations this week, and they discussed yet again what can we do about Syria. Inside the country, meantime, activists reported 343 deaths on Wednesday alone. It is believed to be the highest one-day death toll since the conflict began, and a tragic illustration of the world's inability to hold the bloodshed. Well, now the war is raging across Syria's three largest cities, Aleppo, Homs, and the capital city Damascus, or at least what's left of them. Let's turn to this report for more on that.
In one city, this would be bad enough. In three, it's a disaster. But this is now the reality in the three main cities of Syria. The regime's troops fighting rebels for control of whole districts. Aleppo is Syria's biggest city and business capital, engulfed now in the business of war. The damage is extraordinary, the death toll incalculable. Aleppo is being destroyed to make it safe. Syrian troops are on the offensive in the country's third city, Homs, recapturing many areas from what they say are foreign fighters and extremist Muslims. Rebels, they say, directly armed by Arab states. In one district they took, they showed us what they said was an abandoned rebel headquarters. Bags with Saudi Arabian markings scattered around. A makeshift scaffold with ropes and a meat hook was there. They said rebels tortured and hanged people here. We have no way of proving this. The UN mostly accuses the regime of mass torture, but says rebels are guilty of human rights abuses too. But it's clear this is a dirty war here in Homs and in every city. No one is safe, no faith is spared. Christian churches and Muslim mosques a battleground. But one man is an optimist, the new governor of Homs, Syria's third city. These rebels, he says, will be beaten, and we'll win the war in Homs in 1 month.
1 month, that seems very optimistic.
1 month, he insists, but Britain and America should stop supporting terrorists. They are his master's words. Throughout the interview, explosions echo across the city. Explosions too in Syria's capital city today, one at a military base. Bombs smuggled inside and detonated by rebels. Here too, troops crack down on restive areas with brute force. 3 cities, 1 war, tens of thousands dead. And at the United Nations, complete failure to stop it. Bill Neely, ITV News, Homs.
Well, from Syria, we take our second break. The news continues in just a moment.
Prepared your balema sim card pour yeen ñi bëgg dem Makka ya salaam ndax jokko bi mëna yomb lool su ngeen di dem dugal leen seen Gamcel scratch card ndax bu ñu leen wooyee am leen yéen it su ngeen wootee ngeen am seen njaboot ndax ñu dëkk ñaanooy yow Gamcel amul leen morom yéen a fi ñekkal ñëpp yéen a fi nekkal niw di doole yi yéen a fi nekkal adduna be ya salaam makatul mukarrama yóbbaale ma.
Well, over to sports. It has been a tough week for Chelsea centre-back John Terry, but he is the last laugh as the Blues extended their lead at the top of the Barclays Premier League table. Chelsea beat Arsenal 2-1 at the Emirates. We have more on that story, plus other results involving champions Man City and struggling Liverpool.
Guilty of racist abuse by the Football Association, Terry was taunted by the Arsenal fans at the Emirates. Those fans also got to cheer Gervinho's first-half goal, which levelled the scores at 1-1. But the European champions regained the lead early in the second half through Juan Mata, and that was good enough to win the game. For the record, Fernando Torres also scored today, his 5th goal of the season. He helped the Blues remain unbeaten in the Premier League, and that was Arsenal's first defeat of the new campaign, by the way. The reigning champions Manchester City had to come from a goal behind at Fulham in London. Sergio Aguero equalising for Roberto Mancini's team just before half-time, and they struck again late in the second half to take all 3 points. Substitute Edin Dzeko making a stunning contribution, scoring within a minute of his introduction to give City their 3rd win of the season. Fulham were looking for a 5th consecutive home victory in the league, and they were on the right track when Mladen Petric put them ahead with a penalty in the 10th minute, but it was City, of course, that ended up taking all 3 points there. Now, Liverpool have made their worst start to a league season in a century, but word inside the camp was that when they clicked, they'd put on a big score, and it happened at Norwich today. Luis Suarez scored a hat-trick as the Reds thrashed the Canaries by 5-2. It was Suarez's 2nd consecutive hat-trick at Carrow Road, and that is Liverpool's first league win of the season.
Well, from sports, a reminder of our top stories before we go. The first batch of Gambian pilgrims, numbering 320, has left for the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia to perform the Hajj. Gambian travel and tourism officials are set to embark on a visit to Nigeria to attend the famous Akwaba Festival, the biggest international travel fair on the continent. President Paul Biya has toured parts of northern Cameroon to evaluate the damage caused by days of torrential downpour. And Iran has warned it will retaliate against any attacks as the war of words between Tehran and Tel Aviv intensify over Iran's controversial nuclear program. Well, you're reminded that you can monitor GRTS radio live on our website, which is at www.grts.gm. That's all in this edition of the news. Thanks for your time, and join us at 10 for another bulletin.